Hey, what's up everyone? Hope you're doing good. I want to walk you through a small but meaningful hotfix that just rolled out for Smite 2, Update 1.0's and 194, and talk about what it actually changes, why it matters, and how it may affect both players and creators in ways that aren't immediately obvious. This patch fixes two specific issues, but those two issues touch on fundamentals, the reliability of custom builds and the clarity of an ability indicator, and both of those impact gameplay flow and player expectations more than you might think. First, the build saving fix. There was a problem where the Stygian Anchor item wouldn't persist when players saved custom builds. On the surface, that's a minor annoyance. You save a build, you expect it to be there when you come back. But if you're someone who relies on presets for quick swaps during testing, ranked sessions, or content creation, it becomes a time sink and a reproducibility problem. Imagine you're testing a matchup. You craft a build that includes the anchor because you want to measure its interactions, and then later you realize the build reverted or the item didn't save. That creates confusion. Did the build not work the way you thought? Or did the client fail to keep the change? For streamers, guide writers, and competitive players, that uncertainty is frustrating and can even lead to bad information being shared inadvertently. This fix restores a basic expectation of the UI. When you save a custom build, what you saved should be what loads next time. The second change is more directly gameplay facing. Dodgy's tether tracker was not functioning properly. Ability indicators are a form of communication. They tell both the player using the god and their opponents how long an effect will last, when counters should be attempted, and what window of opportunity exists for plays. If that tether tracker stops updating or desynchronizes, you get missed timings and baited counters that feel unfair. Restoring the tether tracker brings back the telegraphing that auras, tethers, and channel indicators rely on to make for readable. The patch doesn't touch damage numbers, cooldowns, or any balancing figures. It's strictly about fixing these two bugs. That categorizes it as a quality of life hotfix, but quality of life in a competitive or cooperative game is not trivial. Fixes like these reduce variance caused by software glitches rather than by player choice, which is ultimately healthier for the competitive ecosystem and the quality of shared gameplay experiences. Now let's examine how you might want to verify the patch in your own play. After an update like this, check your saved builds. Open up your custom builds menu, pick a build that previously failed to save if you made one, add the Stygian Anchor, save, then close and reopen the client, or at least navigate away and back to the build screen to confirm the save persisted. If you're a content creator who recorded guides before the fix, recheck those clips or the builds you referenced in your guides. There's a chance what you demonstrated is now inconsistent with how the game behaves post-fix. For dodgy mains and opponents, a quick custom match is the fastest confirmation. Equip dodgy, cast the tether ability, and watch the HUD indicator or any tether-specific widget that should show duration or link status. If it now updates reliably, then the fix did its job. If you notice any lingering visual jitter or occasional non-updates, that would suggest a deeper desync that might need further patching. From a development perspective, the two issues hint at common underlying causes. With build saving, it's likely a serialization or save state race, where the client either didn't write the change to local storage or failed to sync with the server-side profile. With the tether tracker, a UI binding or event listener may have stopped receiving state changes from the ability system. Both are classic but subtle bugs. They don't change gameplay rules, but they change how faithfully the client reflects game state. For QA folks and testers, there's a simple stress plan. Rapidly create and save multiple builds with different combinations including Stygian Anchor, alternate logging in and out, and check for persistence. For the tether, multiple clients in a local match should verify that the tracker behaves consistently across network conditions and when the tether is interrupted, extended, or refreshed. If you're thinking about how this affects the player base overall, the key takeaway is trust. Tiny fixes reinforce trust in the client and the dev team's responsiveness. When players feel like the UI will behave predictably, they're more willing to experiment with builds, produce content, and rely on visual indicators to inform split-second decisions. That's important for a title like Smite 2, where both mechanical clarity and build customization matter. Okay, so what happened in the community around this patch? There were the usual reports. Players noticed the issues, filed support tickets, or posted in forums, and the dev team pushed a narrow hotfix rather than bundling these in a larger patch. Those micro-updates are a practical approach because they let the developers address regressions quickly without destabilizing other systems. It's the kind of nimble maintenance that makes a big difference to creators who need small things to be stable. For folks making guides or testing new strategies, it's a reminder to revalidate any content produced around the patch window. What you recorded before the fix may not reflect the current experience, especially with saved builds. For players, this patch is an example of an invisible but meaningful improvement. Not flashy, not controversial, but it smooths out friction and reduces moments where the game feels inconsistent. That consistency is the unsung hero of good competitive design. Finally, as you play, keep an eye on those two areas, the custom builds menu and dodgy matches, just to notice the difference. The less you have to think about whether the game is doing what it should, the more you can focus on the actual choices in a match, which is where Smite 2 wants your attention to be.